What's up guys, Causeway Giant here, and welcome back to another Star Wars theory. Yay! Today, dear viewers, we are going to discover the hidden connections between different cinematic universes and see if the Star Wars saga really did happen in a galaxy far, far away, or if it actually occurred a little closer to home. That's right, get ready to angrily explain how wrong I am in the comments, cause it's theory time. Yes guys, I'm back with another theory. After the success of the last one, I realised I better start churning these things out on a conveyor belt. And by the way guys, thank you so much for your kind words in the comments. It means so much to me. It's just so kind of y'all to say stuff like that, and oh god, I feel my eyes welling up here, and I'm gonna cry! Seriously though guys, you are awesome, and I hope you enjoy this theory as much as the last one. But anyway, enough sappy stuff, let's dive straight into business. So yeah, as I said in the intro part thingy, what's it? The bit that came at the start, okay? Today, we're going to be taking a look at how Star Wars fits into the timelines and universes of various other popular film franchises. And I know what you're thinking, bruh, legit at the start of every Star Wars movie it says a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Jeez, like not even far away, but far, far away. I didn't realize Darth Vader exists in the same place as Shrek. Anyway, so this kind of implies that it's nowhere near Earth, and because of this, nowhere near a lot of popular film franchises, as most of these are set around Earth, like Marvel, Doctor Who, Back to the Future, Indiana Jones, etc, etc, etc. But come on, this is coming from the same people that wrote this line of dialogue.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating. And it gets everywhere. Not like here.
So I think there's a little bit of leeway to speculate that some facts about Star Wars are not entirely accurate. So where exactly is it set then? Well, let's not flap about with the rhetorical questions and stuff in this video, and instead dive straight into the theory part. The Star Wars saga is set in our universe, and the events of the movies happened over 4,550 years ago, with The Force Awakens taking place just after the construction of the pyramids of Giza. Whoa! Okay, let's slow it down. Let's slow it way down. Okay, so the original trilogy happened a long time ago, but not in a galaxy far, far away. And following the events of Return of the Jedi, many planets joined the rebellion as the Empire is essentially defeated, and it's super happy fun time. Now, if you remember in The Force Awakens, we learned from Han and other sources that Luke began to form a Jedi Order. This would make sense that Luke would try to rebuild the Jedi Order, as he is the last Jedi in existence, even though there's actually others in Star Wars Rebels, which I absolutely love. At the time of writing this script, I'm in the middle of Season 2, and it's great. I love Clone Wars and only got around to watching Rebels now. Not gonna spoil anything, but if you like Star Wars, or if you're like me where you just want to have something to watch to fill time and make it look as though you're actually doing stuff with your life, then give it a go, it's great. I really hope they reference it in some way during Rogue One. Maybe have someone talk about the Inquisitor? I don't know, we'll save that for a theory for another day. Anyway, back to the script. Luke would begin to make new Jedi temples on various planets to expand the Jedi Order. One of the planets he chose was a luscious ocean world, with the indigenous species being a subgroup of humans that were very technologically unadvanced. Yep, I'm talking about good old Earth. Like, think about it. Say you're the last Jedi in existence. What do you do? Well, besides playing with your lightsaber and going around force pushing everyone like it's Skyrim, you would want to establish your Jedi temples on planets that are naturally beautiful, safe and secluded, and have a very strong presence of the Force, i.e. out of the way of other inhabited planets, with the natives being docile. Earth is beautiful, or at least it was then. Humans back then were very primitive, and as of now, no other planets with life forms have been identified anywhere near Earth. But if you're watching in the year 3070 with a bunch of otherworldly humanoid cats rolling over you, I guess that point isn't really relevant to you anymore. But hey, shout out to all you future people anyways. But surely Earth doesn't have any presence of the Force, I hear you say. If it did, how has nobody used it yet? Well, think about one of the purest planets in the galaxy with the Force, Dagobah. It is very remote, dominated by nature, with absolutely no urbanization to speak of whatsoever. The whole planet is practically one massive bog, so it's basically what Northern Ireland would be if it was a planet. So for a planet to have a high Force presence like Dagobah, it would have to fit this bill. Now think about Earth over 4,000 years ago. No cities, no buildings, no internet, no Star Wars Battlefront. Ugh! Okay, enough, stop it, you're scaring me. But seriously, at that time in areas like Europe, civilization was very minimal, and nature reigned supreme. Luscious forests, vast open plains, where did we all go wrong? So because of Earth's very natural state, it would have had a very strong Force presence. Not as intensive as Dagobah's, but still better than most planets. I mean, Dagobah has a grand Jedi Master living on it. Earth's got cows and sheep, bit of a difference there. Anyway, this would make Earth the perfect planet for Luke to begin reconstructing his Jedi Order. However, as revealed in The Force Awakens, this did not go according to plan. Luke would have constructed his Jedi Temple on Earth, began training his Padawans, but Kylo Ren was seduced to the dark side by Supreme Leader Snoke, and betrayed Luke. He massacred his fellow Jedi younglings, and Luke fled the planet believing he had failed, and went into hiding in Southern Island. Oh, I mean whatever this planet is called. I'm just so happy because they filmed that final scene of Rey giving Luke his lightsaber on Skellig Michael in County Kerry, and I was there when they did it! You couldn't go to the island and there were like film trucks and everything over. Oh, it was so cool! So Kylo would have then destroyed Luke's Jedi Temple as a sign of defiance against the Jedi, leaving only a hidden Jedi shrine Luke created to use for meditation to focus the power of the Force and reach a sense of Jedi-like inner peace. This shrine still stands today and is none other than Stonehenge. Boom! Whoa, did you hear that? It's the collective sound of thousands of minds being blown. Yeah, that's right, Obi-Wan, you're not the only one who can hear far-off voices and sounds. Get on my level. Kylo then became Snoke's apprentice and one of the leading figures in the new First Order. Kylo is a huge fanboy of the older Sith, especially Darth Vader, so he would have wanted to honour them in the proper Sith fashion, by writing a song about why they're a bunch of jerks. Oh wait, no, that's Taylor Swift's way of doing it. Kylo would have used his authority to build a humongous burial site for fallen Sith. Each one would have had their own specific memorial, yet all would be built in the same form. That's right, Kylo's Sith graveyard is none other than the pyramids of ancient Egypt. Oh damn, this is getting real now. As of today, 118 pyramids have been discovered in Egypt. Each pyramid would have been constructed in commemoration for one singular Sith Lord. Kylo would have wanted to make one for every Sith that ever existed, but I think we can assume that the Resistance would have eventually destroyed the First Order and stopped the construction of Kylo's memorials. The 3 pyramids of Giza, if your Egyptian history is a little rusty, these are the big famous ones, would have been built for the 3 most powerful Sith Lords of all time: Darth Raven, Darth Jar Jar, Darth Raven, Darth Nihilus, and Darth Sidious. Why do you not build one for Darth Plagueis, I hear you ask? Like, he could literally bring people back from the dead. If that's not enough to get a pyramid, then what is? Oh, there are reasons, dear viewers. And as for the Sphinx, well, I think it's safe to say that the Sphinx stands out from the other rocky triangles protruding from the ground. Making something so different could only mean one thing. It is the most meaningful and important of all these ancient creations. And what Sith Lord is the most meaningful and important to Kylo? That's right, good old Dark Helmet. This would make sense that Kylo would honour his grandfather above all others by making his memorial special, and the most visually striking of them all. And even just look at the Sphinx. Doesn't that headdress kinda remind you of something? So you might as well go and throw all of your Egyptian textbooks out the window, because it turns out that they weren't built by mask-wearing cat worshippers. Oh no. Turns out they were actually built by a moody teen with a cool glow stick. That's all fine and dandy, but where's the proof? Well, first of all, I think we can all safely say that Kylo didn't build these himself, and his army are too busy burning villages to be contributing to modern architecture, so who built them then? Well, let's think back to ancient Egypt again for a second. Yeah, sorry if you actually took my advice literally, then you might want to go and retrieve your Egyptian books. If you live in a 20-story flat, I'm sorry, it might take a while. Here, you can borrow mine. Anyway, in Egyptian history, it was the Hebrew slaves that constructed the pyramids and did all the work, whilst the Egyptians sat and watched. Kinda reminds me of working in a group on a school project or something. This is true in our timeline, though the slaves weren't Hebrews, they were actually a mix between poor abducted peoples of various planets and resistance soldiers that had been captured. They were forced by the First Order's army of stormtroopers to build Kylo's graveyard of giants. Yet despite the suppression, they still had hope, for in the back of their minds they remembered how the rebels triumphed over the Empire, liberating the galaxy and temporarily bringing peace, prosperity, and balance to the Force. They believed that the same could happen with the First Order, so they stayed hopeful. And to keep this belief alive, unbeknownst to the First Order, they added in little shrines dedicated to various heroes in the Rebel Alliance in the pyramids to act as a reminder that all is not lost. And finally, here comes the proof. One of these shrines was discovered by everyone's favourite archaeologist. Nope, the guy one. Nah man, come on. You gotta be kidding me. Hey, there we go. What, you don't remember? Come on guys, get your theory glasses on. Yeah, in the scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark where Indy and Salah discover the Ark of the Covenant, if you look really closely, you will notice on the left column there is a hieroglyphic of C-3PO and R2-D2. This must have been one of these little shrines put in by the resistance slaves, proving that they were the ones that built the ancient pyramids. Mind blown yet? And yes, everything you thought you knew is a lie. There is no history, only Star Wars. Alright, so if Star Wars is present in both our and Indiana Jones's universes, then that must mean that Indy is, or at least was, alive in our world too. Say, what? But let's not stop there. I think we can get a few more popular franchises into the real world with the help of Star Wars. How about Star Trek? Yeah, that's right, they're here too. Man, is it okay to have them together? I feel like it would start a global civil war, but of nerds and geeks. Screw it, we don't care about the consequences. All we care about is weird, intricate, intermediately accurate theories about Star Wars, right? Okay, so there's a lot of Star Trek movies and other stuff, so I've spent the last hour of my life trying to piece together a basic timeline for it all, and trying to pick out all the relevant bits for our theory. Huh, man, what has my life become? So if there are a few bits that don't add up or that I overlooked, then I'm sorry, please don't kill me. Right, so the first little bit of Star Wars in the Star Trek universe is in the spin-off series Deep Space Nine. In the episode titled A Man Alone, we can see that on the crew's schedule, they were supposed to depart from Alderaan Spaceport. Alderaan Spaceport! Yeah, that's right guys, they went to the adopted home planet of Princess Leia. Hopefully before it got blown up though, otherwise they'd be departing it in a million pieces. This would make sense that they would have business on Alderaan, as it is, well, was a core world, meaning that it was very important and had lots of business and revenue on it. This episode must have taken place before New Hope, so on our timeline that puts it at about 2600 BC. Oh, and speaking of Alderaan, it's actually far closer to Earth than you may think. Think back to your physics lessons in school. Yeah, relive the countless hours of staring at a wall and sort of listening to an old man blubbering on about light rays. Is it bad that I actually enjoyed that? So I'm a nerd and a geek. Trust me, I'm cool, I swear. But yeah, remember when you were learning about the solar system and there was that asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter that nobody could fully explain? Well, here's the answer. That belt is actually the remains of Alderaan after it was blown up by the Death Star in A New Hope. Whoa, I know, right? Yeah, many astronomers have speculated that these asteroids are probably the remains of a rocky planet, but no one has been able to explain what sort of extreme source would have been able to destroy an entire planet. The only thing my nerdy self can think of to explain this destruction is the Death Star's super laser. And it would make sense that Alderaan is this planet, as with all stars, there is a certain area around the star that could potentially support life. This is called the habitable zone, or is nicknamed by some astronomers the Goldilocks zone. Yep, trust astronomers to nickname massive celestial things after fairy tale characters. What's next? A meteorite named the Big Bad Wolf? He'll huff and he'll puff and he'll blow up your house! So yeah, this area is defined as the belt around a star where temperatures are ideal for liquid water to pool on a planet's surface, allowing life to exist. Earth obviously falls into the Goldilocks zone, as otherwise we wouldn't be here theorizing today. Mars also is in the Goldilocks zone, as remember probes have found traces of water on Mars. The asteroid belt is admittedly outside of it, but it was still a rocky planet, as what remains of it are chunks of rock and dirt, and these are formed closer to the sun, where gravity is at its strongest. So I think that what happened is that Alderaan was in the Goldilocks zone, yet when it was blown apart by the Death Star, it was hit at an angle, causing the pieces to scatter off away from the sun until they eventually rested in orbit, considerably farther out from where they were due to gravity slowing them down to a stop. So if Obi could hear the millions of voices on Alderaan from light years away, imagine what it would have been like for our ancestors. They probably saw the explosion and thought it was the gods warning them that they hadn't killed enough sheep in their honor. Poor sheep. Always misunderstood and getting slaughtered. Hashtag sheep have feelings too. Hashtag sheep matter. Hashtag save the sheep. Come on guys, we gotta get this trending. This theory is quickly evolving into an animal rights movement. Quick, back to Star Trek. Back to Star Trek! So the next film to add to our crossover timeline is the first of the new reboot movies, Star Trek, released in 2009 and directed by J.J. Abrams. Wait, Abrams directed the new Star Trek movies and The Force Awakens? Guys, the crossover's confirmed! Repeat, it's confirmed! During a scene when they're staring at a viewport at some big chunks of space debris, if you look to the left, you can clearly see R2-D2 floating about in space. Yeah, he sure is the droid we're looking for. But what's he doing floating about in a Star Trek movie? Well, all those big chunks of ships are actually the remnants of destroyed Alliance and Imperial starships left after a massive battle. R2 was present on one of these rebel craft and could have been vacuumed out into space due to an airlock breach or an explosion. Now I think it's safe to say that if the Enterprise was present during the Galactic Civil War, they would have been on Team Rebel Alliance. Their extensive fleet probably would have aided the rebels in countless battles, so they would probably recognize R2-D2, one of the most famous droids in the galaxy, when they saw him. Off screen, a craft was sent to reclaim the lost droid and bring him back to the Enterprise. After contacting the rebel leaders, Captain Kirk and his crew would have been informed that they could keep the droid and use him to repair ship parts and do other R2-D2 stuff. And can we just take a minute to appreciate the amount of times R2 has saved the day? You know what, let's count them. First, in episode 1, he repaired the shields on Queen Amidala's craft despite all the other astronauts getting blown into oblivion, saving the crew's lives, and later helped Anakin to blow up the Trade Federation battleship in the final stages of the movie. Then, in episode 2, he saves Padme from getting incinerated by molten lava by overriding the console, and during the epic arena battle on Geonosis, he reattaches 3PO's head onto his body, saving him, something I'm sure Han Solo wouldn't thank him for later on. In episode 3, he zaps a buzz droid that was wrecking Anakin's starfighter, sets 2 super battle droids on fire with his oil and thruster pack, and does the weirdest distraction to General Grievous, allowing Obi-Wan and Anakin to reclaim their lightsabers. In the original trilogy, technology, he safely guards the Death Star plans that Leia gave him, and eventually finds Obi-Wan Kenobi, allowing them to plot Leia's rescue and later an assault on the battle station. Also in A New Hope, he saves Luke, Han and Leia from getting crushed by a trash compactor using his awesome hacking skills, and repairs Luke's X-Wing as it is attacked by TIE fighters during his trench run on the Death Star. He then repairs the Millennium Falcon's hyperdrive in episode 5, allowing them to escape just in time. And in episode 6, he keeps Luke's lightsaber hidden until eventually releasing it to his master, permitting their escape. Finally, in episode 7, he eventually powers on, revealing the other half of the map to Luke Skywalker, allowing the Resistance to locate him. Wow, that's 13 times, and that's only in the movies. R2-D2 is more of a hero than Luke Skywalker. Rest in peace, Kenny Baker. You are an absolute legend and the untold hero of the Star Wars universe. You will be missed. Okay, so R2 would have began his work as an astromech for the Enterprise, as the Rebels would have wanted to keep him safe, as this Star Trek film happens in between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, where Luke's Jedi Order has fallen to ruin and the New Republic is crumbling under the First Order. R2 serves the ship well off-screen until he gets jettisoned back into space when the ship's hull is breached in Star Trek Into Darkness. Trust me, if you look very closely, you can see that he is definitely there and gets sucked out into the emptiness of space along with lots of other various pieces of the ship. R2 then shuts himself down into low power mode to keep him alive. He is eventually rediscovered by a Resistance patrol ship and is brought to General Leia on her base on Dakar. Here he will remain until the events of Star Wars The Force Awakens happen. Wow, well that's a lot of proof that Star Trek is present in our real life Star Wars universe, but you guys deserve all the proof. So here's some more. In Star Trek First Contact, if you look hard enough during the battle with the Borg, you will see the telltale shape of the Millennium Falcon. Speaking of the shape of the Falcon, did you know that the initial design of Han Solo's iconic Carillion YT 1300 light freighter was inspired by a burger with a bite mark taken out of it? Wow, such an iconic ship. You would have thought that the idea would have came about more magically, like Lucas seeing it in a dream or the Force ghost of Obi-Wan coming to him in a vision revealing the ship to him. But no, it instead happened in the most American way possible. Fast food! Anyway, so the Falcon is here during this battle sequence, and as I stated before, the Enterprise are part of the Rebel Alliance and would have fought many battles with them. The Borg may have been a race of Empire enthusiasts, and this invasion may have been a futile attempt to retain Imperial control. This is why the Falcon is here, as Solo is a Rebel general and one of the best pilots and one of the best ships in the galaxy, so he would have been here helping the Enterprise destroy this Borg threat. This means that Star Trek First Contact happened just after Return of the Jedi, but before the events of the reboot movies. That's right, I'm messing about with the timelines, deal with it. Our final piece of evidence to prove that Star Trek happened alongside the Star Wars movies thousands of years ago in our universe is in Star Trek The Next Generation. In the episode titled Sub Rosa, the crew of the Enterprise visit a graveyard on the planet Caldos 4. One shot in the sequence reveals the headstones of two very famous dudes, Darth Vader and Marty McFly. At the minute I can tell that all your emotional states are just what? Yeah, I understand, this stuff is confusing, but it will all be revealed in time. First, let me take you back to Indiana Jones. We've left him after he discovered the hieroglyphics of C-3PO and R2-D2. Since then, Indy has become fascinated by this new strange hieroglyphic and began to search more pyramids in Egypt to find more. Sure enough, he soon discovered many of the other shrines that the rebel slaves built all those thousands of years ago. It even found some relics from that time, like lightsabers and blasters. After a good 5 or so years of searching in private, he eventually presented his findings to museums. Scientists would analyze them and would be fascinated by the advanced technology in these artifacts from thousands of years ago. Inevitably, the information of these archaeological finds would have been revealed to the rest of the world, and it would have captured the interest of millions and millions of people across the globe. The hieroglyphics would have been translated with each little piece of information left by the slaves, revealing the whole story of the fall of the Republic and the rebirth of it due to the efforts of the brave Rebel Alliance. Like all popular topics, this story would have been written down in books, discussed extensively on TV, and eventually even made into a film saga based on the true story of Star Wars. Yeah, that's right, this is the film franchise we all know and love today. The characters in the films would not have been exactly accurate to the real life ones, as it's pretty hard to perfectly envision historical figures that existed thousands of years ago. This is why the Sphinx design of the real Darth Vader doesn't look exactly the same as the ones from the movies that we are so familiar with. Okay, that was some intensive stuff, so I'll give you a little break so that you can regather your thoughts. So here's a video of a cat playing a keyboard, because this is YouTube. Everything is about cats. Okay, we sorted? Good, now let's continue. So the Star Wars movies happened, telling the story of an ancient civilization spanning across the galaxies. It captivated the minds of countless people following its release in 1977, and has been referenced countless times. Remember that bit of Civil War where Spider-Man starts talking about The Empire Strikes Back?
You know that part? Where they're on the snow planet? With the walking thingies?
And that bit in Winter Soldier where on Cap's list we see that Star Wars is something for him to watch. Wait, hold up. Cap's boss is Nick Fury, and one of the Jedi Masters in the prequels is Mace Windu. Oh no, this is gonna blow poor old Steve's mind. So yeah, it's a massive pop culture icon. Heck, even a kid in E.T. wears a Yoda mask to Halloween. So it's no real surprise that 80s geek Marty McFly watches the movie and tries to quote it in Back to the Future during this scene.
My name is Darth Vader. I am an extraterrestrial from the planet Vulcan.
So as you can see, Marty says that he is Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan, which I cringe so much at, but anyway. You see, the Star Trek films would have been made as well, as they intermingled with the Star Wars stories, yet they would have been produced separately. Marty is clearly a fan of Star Wars and Star Trek, but gets the reference extremely wrong. So I think that McFly would have done what any fanboy would want to do, and go and visit his idol, Darth Vader. So him and Doc Brown would have hopped into the DeLorean and went back to the past. Doesn't quite have the same ring to it. Anyway, they would have arrived at Caldos 4, Darth Vader's location, at some point during the original trilogy. You see, according to this Wikipedia article, the DeLorean has the capacity to travel through space in addition to time, i.e. appear at a different location from the one where it departed, similar to the TARDIS from Doctor Who. Doc Brown would have advised against meeting here, as he had heard stories of Vader's tyranny and lack of mercy, but McFly would persist anyway. He would approach Vader, and shortly after, to the horror of Doc Brown, would have been killed by Vader, thinking he was a rebel assassin. Doc Brown was heartbroken and would have travelled into the future after the time of Vader's death, and put headstones in a graveyard in Caldos 4 reading Vader and McFly, to honour Marty by building a grave next to his favourite character from his favourite film. Yeah, Marty gets killed, but he gets killed by Darth Vader, which is kinda cool, but also sad. We'll call it CAD, or Sul. I don't know, CAD sounds a bit too much like rad. Sul it is, Causeway Jan, making up random words since August 2016. So there we are guys, that's my theory describing that the events of Star Wars actually happened in our universe at about 2500 BC, and how Star Wars is the sticky, cementy, gluey stuff that pulls other big franchises like Star Trek, Indiana Jones, E.T., Back to the Future, and Marvel into the one universe. But wait, there's one thing about this theory that doesn't add up. If Star Wars and Indiana Jones happened in the same timeline, then why do Indiana Jones and Han Solo look exactly the same? I mean, they come from a time span of over 4,000 years, yet they look exactly the same. How? Well, never fear, dear viewers, for I will explain this in the next video. Yep, guys, that's right, I'm going all Game of Thrones up in here, and you have to wait another year to find out what happens. Haha, I can feel your anger. Man, I'm such a jerk. Nah, I'm kidding, don't worry, it'll be up soon. Y'all just gotta wait. But anyway guys, this has been the first part of my second Star Wars theory. I hope you enjoyed it, and I know it was a complicated one, but hey, I like messing with you guys. Stay tuned on the channel for part 2 of this theory coming out next month. And remember, if you like, then please hit that subscribe button like you're the Death Star blowing up Alderaan. Bye bye! Wow, you sure do take a long time to click off a video. While you're here, I guess I'll reward your extra time with a clue to explain why Han and Indy are the same guy. It's like a riddle. You ready? Okay. He lacks heart, but also has plenty. And he is a life-saving hero, yet also a mass murderer. Ooh. Well, there you are, guys. See if you can solve it before part 2 comes out. But until then, live long and prosper, and may the Force be with you.